Welcome back to A People's Guide to Publishing. I'm Joe Beal, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing and Distribution. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 25 years.
I'm Ellie Blue. I'm the editorial and marketing director here at Microcosm. We are an independent mid-list publisher based in Portland, Oregon. We have 14 employees, over 650 titles in print with 20 to 40 new books per year, and we distribute thousands of titles from other publishers.
We started this podcast so that we can share what we've learned with newer publishers so that you can learn from our mistakes.
Or perhaps you just want to better understand the publishing industry.
This week, we are going to talk about the origin story of two brand new books that just came into our lives. Dr. Faith Harper's Unfuck Your Worth.
And Tessa Lynn Morrison's Bread of the Resistance.
This is sort of the number one question we get, especially from authors, is like, how do people come at you? Which is like the secret code word for how do I come at you successfully. So we're going to do that, and then you can reverse hack these instructions to learn how to approach any publisher.
Or if you're a publisher, you can, write to us and share your own stories. We'd love to hear them.
Yep. Because this is sort of the most complicated part of being a publisher, is like simplifying this process, getting the right things, and turning away the wrong things. And the wrong things being just like what's not right for you, what belongs somewhere else.
So we've told the story before on this podcast. Faith has told it of how she came at us to begin with. But what about this book?
Right. So, but the very brief summary is that on her honeymoon, Dr. Faith demanded our audience, when she was going to be in Portland visiting from San Antonio, had sent us a PowerPoint instead of a book proposal. And I told Ellie to find a way to make it work. And because I am somewhat trusted on occasion in these walls, Ellie, in fact, despite really, really thinking that I had no idea what I was talking about, did in fact make it work. And then we went on to sell over 100,000 copies of that first book, Unfuck Your Brain, which led us to scramble relentlessly to be like, okay, what else do you have? And she has had enough to produce one every few months. So Unfuck Your Worth is the third in the canon series, I guess the Legacy series, the original series, where preceded by Unfuck Your Intimacy and Unfuck Your Brain. And then the next one will be Unfuck Your Body. As a reader and consumer of books, I have found that almost every book about financial planning and or money and or anything to do with investments and portfolios and that to be incredibly boring and not approachable for most people. I feel like you developed this book a lot more and I developed that book a lot more. But
maybe I should talk about that. Okay, sure. My memory of how Unfuck Your Worth, sorry it clashes with my t-shirt, for a long time, and as it emerged which ones were bestsellers and which ones were popular, we started to develop those into books. And so the origin of Unfuck Your Worth was actually her zine Unfuck Your Work. Right, it was originally called Working, and then we kind of adjusted the title to fit the series. And while we were filming the book trailer and Kickstarter video for it, I was like, I don't know why sometimes I'm a little pushy this way, but I was like, this book should not just be about work. It should be about earning money, spending money, and untangling all of your emotions about money. And I was thinking about Elizabeth Warren's book, All Your Worth, which is my canonical money management book, which tells you how to manage your money. And I was like, Faith, don't tell us how to manage our money, but tell us how to manage our sense of self-worth when it comes to money and finances, and that includes the work that we do. And everybody, I think, was a little sad to let go of the work zine. But in the last part of this book is about working and unfucking your work, and about figuring out what you bring to the table, what you want to do, what your value is, what money is for, what work is for you, what money is for you. And then it also has some guidance about budgeting, but really mostly it's about sort of figuring out what place you have in this horrific capitalist hellscape in the subtitle. I also came up with that. I don't know where all of this came from.
So apparently it's all you. Excellent work.
And then Faith wrote the book.
Right.
But no, it's like a really great book because like all the other books out there are about how like if you just have enough discipline and if you're just smart enough about money and if you have financial literacy, then you can like become rich or at least have a good healthy financial life. And honestly, that's not true. Yeah. And I feel like this book is the one that acknowledges that that's not true and helps you like at least have a healthy relationship with your own sense of your value, even when the world is telling you you have no value.
Somebody posted a blog yesterday using me as the source to demonstrate how the people use book marketing through controversy to sell books, and they told the story of Rich Dad Poor Dad that I included in People's Guide to Publishing as their proof of theorem for that. And I was honored and flattered that someone found me that way.
Also, Rich Dad Poor Dad is a self-published book.
It is.
We learned that looking at the bestseller list.
I knew that already. I wrote a book about it. Next up, we have Bread of the Resistance, which this book came to us, I believe, in January.
This book had a very fast path to publication.
Yeah, I believe it was submitted to us initially in January, and the publication date, I think, is September. It doesn't actually say in here. Nice job, me, covering my bases.
I didn't catch that either.
I think it's September 9th is the official publication day, but we just got these printed yesterday. So, point being, it was fast because making sourdough without measuring was like an interesting colloquial topic that like we could sell to grocery stores back in January.
And then?
So we were like dubiously on the fence, and Sarah, who was the editor of this book, not here yet because it's early in the morning, said, Joe, I think there's really potential here. I think we should take this more seriously. And I was like, Sarah, I've done this for many, many years. I don't really know how we would like take this far and wide. We've had sort of middling success with the previous few books in the series, and it just doesn't seem like something that makes sense to add to our load at this time. And, and she was like, okay, well, cool, we can do what we can do. And so we made a zine that happened to come out in, I believe, April, when sourdough bread was the rage in the United States while people were learning how to live in between their kitchen and their bedroom.
Yep.
And so we went to our salespeople and we were like, would there be potential for Bread of the Resistance in paperback? And they were like, how is that even a question? Obviously, yes. There's, and we said, well, we didn't really sell that many of our book about making cheese or our book about making beer, or I can't remember what the one before that one was. And, and they all did like 3,000 or so, but 3,000 is not 100,000, and when that is the trajectory, you wouldn't think that they would. And they were, and then in very plain English, our Michigan salesman Andy said, Joe, a lot more people make bread than make cheese. And I was like, right, it is. And this, dear viewer, is how everything comes down to simple mathematics.
How did that book how did that book come to us? Like, how was it submitted?
Same way, through our website. They filled out the submission form and said, I made this thing, I'm interested, I want to do it. And we were like, yeah, okay. And we did it. And, the proof is not yet in the pudding because this book is not out for a few more months, but they will begin shipping today, so we'll let you know.
Yeah, if you order one on our website, microcosm.pub, you'll get it right away.
You'll find
out.
It's
not out yet, technically.
And, and we had a good amount. We sold quite a few of the zines in the past few months. And so it became... And then this is the same price as the zine. It's $9.95. And, obviously it's a nicer package, nicer production value. It has you can spill your bread dough on the cover and wipe it right off with your sponge. Which, if you did that in the zine, you would have some serious suffering paper.
That's a good point. So yeah, yesterday a truck pulled up and we got 7 pallets of books, including a pallet each of these 2.
Only one of each. Normally it's 2 of...
It was 1 pallet of bread. Those are small books. And then worth, there was...
It was like 1.3 pallets.
Well, not even that. It was like 1 pallet, and then the second pallet had 4 boxes on it. So he just lifted those out of the truck. But yeah, this is how it happens. And then we find a place to put all of the books in our warehouse. You can refer to our last episode about inventory.
And then you wonder where they all went a few months later.
We started with the story about how we started publishing Faith because she showed up on her honeymoon in our office and demanded a meeting. It doesn't usually work that way.
Yeah, we would almost never grant said meeting.
Why did we do that?
Because she had the credentials, and she had the voice, and she had sort of an interesting take on things.
It's because she had already submitted us a pitch following the instructions that we're interested in.
Yeah. And and then the reason we did that is because there was potential from that, And so, we wouldn't, we get 100 to 200 times as many pitches as we publish books. So if we took those meetings, there would be no books. We would never have time to make the books.
We would meet a lot of cool people.
It is true. And that's sort of the harder part where, the people that are willing to give you the time and the meetings tend to be the author services company that charge you money for your time. So for their time. And so, you want to find somebody that can get you where you want to go rather than the person that'll sit down with you or the person that'll take your money. Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub.
On Twitter at Microcosm.
On Facebook at Microcosm Publishing.
On Instagram at Microcosm_pub.
And here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.